Talking to the Wildlife Academy of Education.
Exactly. Ron DeArmond is here. Why don't you introduce the humans that are with you first, and then we'll find out about the animals.
Sure. I got Sam. She's been with me the longest as far as our staff goes. She kind of oversees everything. Got my daughter Jordan, who's been with me the longest as far as he's here, helping me as far as being wildlife ambassador wranglers today.
And all kinds of critters you brought here. What are we talking about today?
We could talk about a couple of things. We didn't realize we could talk about food chain if we wanted to, but actually we brought all these animals to talk about biodiversity.
Okay.
It's Urban Bald Eagle Days at the Academy of Wildlife Education this Saturday, and it's a celebration of biodiversity. The bald eagle was on the endangered species list. It's completely recovered now, and we celebrate the bald eagle in Iowa and other communities across the Midwest, and it's a way that has now kind of evolved into a way to celebrate biodiversity and sharing with folks the importance of having a diversity of wildlife to promote healthy ecosystems. So that's what we brought you today. Is we've got representatives of the wetlands, the prairie, forest, even urban wildlife habitat situations.
Okay, so you have the wetlands, obviously. You have the tiger salamander.
Tiger salamander, gotta have those.
See, we're learning all these as we're going along here, folks, so we can start identifying these creatures once they pop us. You have the tiger salamander, which we introduced you to a couple weeks ago, and then the snake. Which snake is that?
That's the hognose snake.
The hognose. Okay.
And again, we've got the vanishing prairies here in Iowa. As a matter of fact, we've just got facsimile.
Now we need to keep those two guys apart. Does the hognose snake have a taste for salamanders or not?
Again, basically, hognose snakes eat toads, which are amphibians, which the tiger salamander is. The skunk would eat the snake, and then the fox would eat the skunk, and then you got the eagles that would eat the little foxes. So again, that's how nature works. So it's not this whole kumbaya thing going on out there. Nature's very brutal. And so we wanted to show folks as far as the diversity of wildlife. And actually, at one time, you'd find all four of these animals fairly close to the Des Moines metro area.
Really?
Yeah.
Now they just starting to move away from the metro?
Well, the habitats are gone. I mean, you're not going to find much for hognose snakes here in the area. There's a possibility you could find a gray fox like this. Definitely skunks you'll find in town. You know, the animals are adapting, and I think that's what people need to understand is as humans change the ecosystem, we've put our footprint in the environment. The wildlife will either go extinct or adapt. The majority of wildlife is adapting, and that's why we've got bald eagles nesting in the urban areas of Des Moines right now. Not natural. There's a nest out by Valley Junction. It's one of the worst pieces of eco-habitat that I've ever seen as far as garbage and trash everywhere. And you look up this beautiful tree and there's an awesome eagle's nest sitting in there, and they've just adapted to what we've done to the habitat.
Now, speaking of eagles, we obviously have to bring up something that happened a couple days ago about some kids that shot and eventually killed the eagle. They shot an eagle, a bald eagle, a young bald eagle out of a tree, witnessed by a neighbor of the event, and the eagle eventually ended up dying. Now, what could potentially happen?
Well, that's a federal offense, and depending on their age, you know, juvenile court, or if they're an adult, there's prison for that. Eagles are part of the Federal Migratory Protection Act because they go across multiple countries. It's an international offense, actually. So it's very serious. So we take wildlife conservation. I mean, it's nothing to play with. You know, those hunting regulations are there for a reason. It's because of the human imprint or the human footprint in wildlife today that we have to manage it so closely because certain species have to be micromanaged today.
Now, you mentioned nothing to play with, and that's something that we want to point out. Coming up a little later on KCWI 23 HD, right this minute is going to be on, and there is a video segment that we had a sneak peek of a couple of minutes ago that showed a young child playing with a deer, and it was, oh, that's so cute that the deer is playing. Now the mother of the deer was killed, and the deer wandered in and is somewhat friendly, but that really is not a good idea.
Well, again, that's part of Urban Bald Eagle Days as we talk about wildlife rehabilitation, because the birds we use in our programs are rehab birds that couldn't be released. So that deer is a classic case of what not to do. If you see an orphaned deer fawn and it needs to be turn back into the wild, there's trained professionals that know how to do it. The problem you have with people is because we nurture it, we make it cute, you'll see that this deer's knocking this kid around. It's probably a young buck and he's not playing. He's learning how to go out and prove his territory by rubbing his head and headbutting. That's a territorial game that they're playing. They think it's cute. The problem you have is when you imprint a deer like that, and it's a mule deer, there's a thing called hunting season. And if that deer is imprinted to people and it's out with a wild herd and it all of a sudden sees a group of people, it doesn't know the intent of those people. So the rest of the herd may go away from the hunters. This deer would have a tendency to walk up to the hunters, and that's not going to end good for the deer.
Not a good situation for the deer.
Never a good deer.
Okay.
It's all bad. That deer is going to be habituated to hanging out with people, being in urban situations, jumping across roads. I mean, it's just bad. So again, although it's cute, it's wrong. Those types of situations need to be handled by trained professionals. Fortunately, in Iowa, we have those professionals, so we don't advocate picking up baby bunnies, baby deer. It's not an easy thing to do, but it can be done.
Okay, now something that people will avoid, like the plague, is in case you see one of these guys come over, one of these skunks come over, they want to stay away from them, and then some people, they'll try to kill the skunk, which is really a bad idea because they do a lot of good for the environment. But to put the rest, some of the rumors, a lot of people say, oh, we need to kill them because skunks have rabies. That was a story we heard years ago.
Right, and again, any type of, I mean, foxes, skunks, bats, they are all considered rabies vector species, but even you could throw humans in there. Anything that's a mammal that's warm-blooded can carry the rabies
Okay, so
disease.
let's put that rumor to rest if you're using that for an excuse. Don't use that for an excuse. Leave them be.
Right, these guys are great for rodent control, and so the foxes, the skunk is actually a better mouser than your domestic cat, so you definitely want a few skunks around. The reason that they're hanging out is because we put our garbage out and there's cat food and dog food readily available, and it's much easier to scavenge than it is to hunt, especially this time of year. So that's when you'll start seeing these animals more often in town. Come spring and summer, they tend to go back out into the forest, back out in the habitat where there's plenty of food. It's easy for them to find. But yeah, you wonder why you got raccoons in your backyard right now. Look at your dog food situation, look at your cat food situation.
Okay, and what about these guys here, the fox?
Gray foxes, again, you're not going to see a lot of these guys in town.
They're a little smaller than I thought they were going to be.
A little bit smaller than the reds. Again, misidentified a lot. It's Iowa's only tree climbing dog. So you'll find these guys up in trees if you spook them and stuff. But they serve a great purpose. Again, they're great for rodent control. They're going to go after squirrels, stuff like that, obviously, being that they can climb trees. We used to think that their numbers were on decline, and overall they probably are. But we saw a female gray fox in the city of Knoxville on our way to an event one time, right there in the middle of town. And so it does happen. They can adapt to the changing environment just like any other animal. So yeah, it's not totally
What's this one here's name?
This one's Smokey.
Smokey, you need to come over to my house, keep the squirrels from climbing in my attic, okay?
Yeah, there
I'll
you
give you
go.
all the food you want if you come over to my place. I'll let you run outside, too.
Keep out of the bird feeders.
There you go, exactly. All right, so tell everybody about what's going on again this weekend.
Urban Bald Eagle Days, it's an event for all families to come out and enjoy. It's this Saturday from 10 to 7. We've got 4 bird of prey programs. The Wildlife Care Clinic from Iowa State University is bringing their birds of prey. So it'll be a great event. We've got city, county, state, and federal agencies coming out to show folks about the wild places within 60 miles of the Des Moines Metro. So it's a great time to come out, celebrate biodiversity, the bald eagle, and what you can do to get involved in helping the environment.
And of course, Academy of Wildlife Education located right in Merle Hay Mall. So if you're going to the mall anyway, go a little bit earlier and check out what they have and learn something at the same time.
We're open.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, ladies. We'll be right back. You're watching Great Day.